Tell me when you first started to play the saxophone and what made you want to start to play the saxophone.
Well, actually, I didn't want to play saxophone. I wanted to play accordion because here in my area, there is a folk music which is made mainly with the accordion. So, and my dad was playing harmonica and accordion. So I wanted to play accordion. But I had a friend of mine, a very well-known musician in the world. He's a great accordionist. He's called Simone Zanchini, and we are friends since we were born. So my mom told me, I was 14. Simone was already playing the accordion 7 years already. He started very early. I was 14, and my mom told me, why you want to play the accordion? Play saxophone so you can make a duo with Simone and go around playing. And I said, okay, I just want to play an instrument. And they bought me alto saxophone. I discovered that I was able to play all the repertoire of my folk music in kind of a week. And it's complicated because you've got polkas, you've got waltz, very quick. You have to articulate a lot. You have to really, the staccato is unbelievable here, the way they play. So, I discovered to have some talent on the saxophone. And I started. I played the folk music for 4 or 5 years. And then I discovered Michael Brecker.
How old were you when you started to play?
14.
So how did you learn the fingerings and the correct embouchure and the blowing?
I cannot even tell because it came natural through the years. I just started to listen to Michael Brecker. And when I heard him the first time, I even thought, because, I was 16, so we are talking about 30 years ago. There were no YouTube, there were no, there was not all this stuff. I said to myself, man, I want to play like this in my life. I want to play something like this. I felt so emotional when I heard him the first time. So I started to copy him, to copy his fraseggio, to copy his sounds. I heard Michael Brecker, it was, 80, 87, 88.
You had records, I assume, recordings, or you had tape. What was your source? Was it a record?
Was the tape, just the tape. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Not even CDs yet. Yeah.
Right. No CDs at that time.
No, so the tape, rewind, play, rewind, play, rewind, play. I destroyed so many tapes, because I was
Wow.
rewind, play, rewind, play.
But what's interesting is how you taught yourself. And today, so many people spend so much money to go to college and to universities. You spent, what would you say, a day? How many hours a day?
Well, actually, I started very late to spend hours on my horn because till the age of 31, 32, I just took out my horn of the case once per week. I was lazy, man. I had everything else in my mind but saxophone. I loved to race with the bike. I was a very talented racer, a rider. So anyway, so then at 31, 32, I started to practice at least 5, 6 hours, and then I started to grow and grow. And now I play actually the whole day. When I don't make lessons, I play. Between a lesson and another, I play. The average is 8 hours for me. 8 hours.
So you
8 hours.
practice 8 hours a day, would you say?
More or less, yes.
And when you were 14, what would you say? A few hours a day?
No, nothing.
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 Just once a week
Nothing.
you took the horn out.
Yeah, till 30, 31 years old. Yes.
When did you switch to tenor?
When I heard Michael Brecker, just the time to tell my family I won't play this music any longer. The folk music that we play here, and is music where the people dance. So for my parents, that was, they were so proud of me because I was making people dance, every night. But it was a music that I didn't like. So as soon as I discovered Michael Brecker, I totally switched and I went on my way. I mean, just listen to them.
We're playing saxophone from 14 to about 18, is correct? And then you got influenced by Michael Brecker.
Yeah.
And from 18 to now, I don't know if you want to say how old you are, but you said at 31 years old.
I just turned 47 November the 3rd.
At 31, you really just really dove into to Michael Brecker.
No, at 31, I started to practice. No, Michael, yes, seriously. Michael Brecker was my first influence when I was 18, 19, more or less. And then after Michael Brecker, I discovered John Coltrane, of course. Then I fell in love with Hank Mobley. I've been on Hank Mobley for a while. And then I discovered Dexter Gordon. But when I heard Bird the first time, it was uh, it was different for me. So I felt even, weird. I said, what is this? It was a kind of language that didn't match immediately with me.
Did you learn to read music?
Actually, never. And I still read very bad. I only read C sharp, concert key charts. I don't read B flat charts. Today, a little bit, yeah. I try to correct my bad habits, but never had anyone teaching me. I had just a friend when I was 20. He gave me some hint, but didn't never follow anybody.
So, what would you say to all the young people wanting to learn saxophone? Besides studying it, what would you advise them? Because there's so much information on the internet and a lot of, misinformation. But what advice would you give to young players?
Uh, the risk is for me to be a little bit unpopular now because uh, I read a beautiful quote of Bob Minther a few days ago in a forum in some group on Facebook where he said, if you want to play new, then learn old. So I will say that I feel like that. I mean, I totally agree with it. Uh, Young players, sometimes they don't even know Stan Getz, or they say Stan Getz is boring. Instead, uh, somebody else is not. So, the world today is completely filled with fantastic musicians. Everyone now is technical skills. They read music, they compose, but something is truly missing for me is this, for me, the, the way you feel the music. I don't see so much passion. It's more like I want to be cool. I want to be great. I want to succeed and blah, blah, blah. Instead, I think that they should first feel some responsibility for the music and for the people you have in front. When I was in New York and I had the trio with Victor Lewis on drums, um, one of the first thing is he ever teach me was, you see those people listening to you, they expect to get something, some emotion, from what you play. So you should feel that responsibility. You should think about them. You should really love the music and you should really feel responsible for what you play and what you say. So, and you have to sweat. They always told me, if you don't sweat, there's something wrong. At least the black guys, the old guy, they are a little like that, a little rude. A little rude.
So you would say young players should study the old players, the the Charlie Parkers, the Mobleys, the Getz, Scott Hamilton. These people they should listen to, and they should transcribe if they know how to, of course, write. And that is probably the thing they stress the most when I was at Berkeley is to do transcriptions, because once you in transcriptions you can feel what the player is doing, the little nuances.
Absolutely. And about this, there is a very important thing to say. When somebody asks me, do I go right if I transcribe? I say, if you just transcribe and you repeat the phrases without getting the meaning or the way they play that, with the sound they play that, with kind of feeling they play that. So for me, it's useless to transcribe. You have to transcribe to understand what kind of power and love and passion there is in each of those phrases. Of course, how genius they were uh, putting together those, intervals in that way. For me, sometimes I still find myself with open mouth and like in a kind of unconsciousness. Because when I listen, for example, to Sonny Rollins, there is a solo he takes in "If Ever I Will Leave You," with Jimo, Bob Crenshaw. I don't remember it, but the recording is "What's New," if I'm not wrong. And he plays "If Ever I Will Leave You." And the Latin rhythm. It's beautiful. And it takes kind of 7, 8 minutes solo. Man, I still cannot believe that somebody can play those phrases, those intervals. There is, for me, there's, I tell you this also is nice. I met Chris Potter 2 years ago in Serbia. We played together on the same festival, and I was playing before him with my group. So we had the chance to speak a little bit, and we were talking about this. I told him what I think. I don't want to be arrogant, but I told him, you know what? Until Michael Brecker, from the beginning to Michael Brecker, I cry when I listen. I always cry with those musicians. After, I feel, you know, in ecstasy when I listen to whatever else new player. They are amazing, but I don't cry because in my stomach, nothing moves, only my brain. Of course, they are fantastic, everyone. I'm not saying they are bad. They are fantastic. I'm not even the alpha, of them, of those musicians like Ben Wendell, Seamus Blake, or Mark Turner, or whatever. Man, but I don't cry.
They're too mechanical, is what you're saying.
Uh, just for me is missing that emotional part that Dexter Gordon has, that Stan Getz has, that Sonny has, that Hank Mobley has, that John Coltrane has, and Joe Anderson, Joe Farrell when he was playing, back in the 60s. I mean, all those players, Cannonball Adderley, I mean, man, they can play 1,000 notes and still you feel the unbelievable emotional. Maybe it's me, I'm crazy. Yeah? It can be. So take it as it is.
A lot of people say, and I'd like to get your thoughts on this, that if you listen to singers, for example, Frank Sinatra, and you play, that's a good resource to develop how you feel, and you listen closely to what they're trying to say or sing. What's your thought about that?
Well, uh, in my playlist, there is all Nat King Cole, all, everything. When I want to feel good and get back in some kind of inspiration, I listen to Nat King Cole, Ella Fitzgerald, uh, Frank Sinatra, of course. Um, I love all of them. Actually, there are so many. Even the record that John Coltrane made with um, how's called the black guy with that low voice. Now it doesn't come to my mind. Um, well, okay, it will come. Uh, but no, I mean there are so many. I would like to name all of them. But anyway, yes, singers are so important.
And self-taught is, you don't see that too often today, and I think it's marvelous and very inspiring for young people to listen to what you have to say. Because I've met many great players through the course of my career, and all of them are well trained. They're graduates of a university, a college, and of course they've learned everything there is about music. come across a player like yourself. It's really an honor to know you and to be your friend. And it's just a delight to have this conversation, Stefano. I want to share it with people and let people know about it. So I want to thank you for that very, very much.
Well, thank you, man.